Can you take us back to the beginning? What inspired the creation of TrueFlow technology? How did this evolve into the decision to start NED Medical Technologies?
The whole thing started when I finished my studies at ETH Zurich. I personally did not want to work in industry when I finished my studies. This was not interesting to me. So I decided to stay at the university and I selected the Institute of Professor Guggenbühl. I liked his work, I liked how he was as a person, and I wanted to work at that institute. So I started there. There was a small project that I was offered to work on. It was an ultrasonic flow sensor and it did not work. So I said, yes, let's work on it. And I really said that it takes me 3 months to finish it, to get it working. Now, 30 years later, I'm still working on it, or even 40 years later, I'm still working on it. So I started, this was a project in cooperation with the University of Zurich. They wanted to measure people going in a low pressure chamber and going to altitude, like you do in the Alps, go at altitude and measure breathing at the same time. This is a very difficult topic. And my professor had the idea to use an ultrasound flow sensor for that. So I tried to do that, and that project was already quite fascinating, working in a low pressure chamber, a big chamber where the pressure is lowered. And that institute at the university had a lot of visitors because that was a special setup. And some visitors were from the Max Planck Institute in Germany. And they saw the flow sensor and they wanted to use it to measure airflow of panting dogs. That is very interesting because panting dogs is very similar breathing than some babies do during artificial ventilation, and they wanted to measure those panting dogs naturally. That was also a super interesting project. So I worked in Göttingen, Germany, Max Planck Institute, and that institute was visited by many other scientists. Among those were people from NASA and from ESA, and they wanted to measure astronauts during a space shuttle flight. So I got also involved into that project, measuring astronauts during a flight. That was also interesting. So I got involved in many of these really interesting projects. And we also published at the Institute, at the Max Planck Institute, one small publication, one small scientific article in a paper, and that paper was read by Professor Karl Harnoncourt. He then contacted me when I was back in Zurich and visited me in Zurich, and this was basically the founding spark of NED when the two of us met and we decided to make something happen around this.